Okay, it looks like it'll show me live comment feed.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm supposed to see it on here.
Hi everybody, my name is Sarah Pollock, and I am going to be doing the live art show today for the Rehoboth Art League. I'm new at this, and so you're going to see a little bit of struggle as I go through this process, but we're going to try to respond to your comments and answer any questions that you have. And so by all means, if something comes up today as I'm talking, feel free to comment, ask questions. I'm here to answer questions about my work as well as my process, and I want to share with you just as if like you were here in person, like a live tour, if you will, of what I do in my studio. So with that said, I'll get started. We are in the midst of a thunderstorm here in Knoxville, Tennessee, and if nothing else today, one thing you can learn is that East Tennessee is actually a rainforest. So might have it be that as I'm doing my live show, there's gonna be some pretty bad storms. Hopefully we'll keep power throughout, but just hang in there, be patient, and you'll probably hear some rumbles of thunder as I'm talking along just for dramatic effect. But just to reiterate, I'm an oil painter. I'm based in Knoxville, Tennessee. I've been a professional artist for about 15 years, actually closer to 20 now, but I'll try not to think about that. And for about the past 5 years, I've been working in the medium of oil painting. I started out in pastel, and I just decided that I wanted to make a change and just kind of like elevate and challenge myself. So about 5 years ago, I moved into oil painting, and I've been totally loving it. It's sort of like learning a whole new language. It's opened up a whole new world to me, and I'm still enjoying just learning every day and exploring things in my studio. So normally I would have done the Rehoboth Art League art show in person this year, but obviously this is not a normal year. But the cool thing is I can invite you into my studio, so you can see where I work when I'm not in my vinyl booth at an outdoor event. So today what I'm going to share with you is some of the stuff that I'm working on, some of the things I've done earlier this summer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out today just sharing a couple of things with you. First of all, through the show today, I want to make it clear that I'm offering free shipping on my original paintings. So if you go to my website, www.sarahpollock.com, shop for any original painting, there's free shipping. All you have to do is enter a discount code. It's called RAL free, Rehoboth Art League free. So RAL free. So all the pieces I'm going to share with you today are on the website, and by all means, if you have any questions, like I said, feel free to comment, and I'll be happy to answer things as they come up. So when I'm not at shows, I'm here in my studio in Knoxville, and right now what I'm working on is a commission for a client in New York City. She happens to live along West 57th in Manhattan, and clients' commissions for custom paintings are really just a collaboration. So what I do whenever I work with somebody is I try to meet them, find out what they're interested in. In this case, she was interested in something close to her home in New York City, like right along West 57th Street. So we met last year in New York City, which was awesome. I always like to have an excuse to go to the city. And what I did was I prepared 3 studies for her, 3 small studies based on our meeting. And I'm going to share those with you today. And then you can kind of see how that becomes the first building block into creating the bigger piece. So the first piece here, this is a small cityscape. I'll try to get the glare off of it here, but this is called In Between the Sound. This is a nighttime piece, original oil on panel, and this one is on my website underneath the cityscapes category. So if you want to get a better look at it on my website, by all means, you can pull that up in another tab. But this was on the first studies right along West 57th, and I like this just because of the richness of color, the drama of the night, and the city lights, and just the rhythm of the buildings and the architecture. So this was one option that I gave to her, and I'll show you the next one here. Tried to have everything queued up, so I've actually got things in our dog's bed right now, so I hope the dog doesn't come up and want to try to lay down. But here's the next piece. This was more of a daytime piece. We met in the fall, and she was very interested in the fall colors, the golden light. And again, this is another, just a small study. This is an 8x10. This one is called Urban Tapestry, number 17. I've been doing the Urban Tapestry series for a number of years, and it's really just kind of a celebration of the patchwork quilt of colors and shapes in the city. And this one, the subtitle is called Intersection. So that was another option for her to consider. And then finally, the third option was this guy, Urban Tapestry number 18, and this one is called Golden, which is a reference to the golden autumn light that we get in the late October, early November season. You've probably noticed in your own lives like how every season, every time of year has its own specific quality of light. This was late afternoon along West 57th in Midtown Manhattan. This is also an original oil on panel. It's 8x10. It's framed and all ready to be displayed. But again, this was the third option that I shared with the client. And anytime I work with a client for a custom painting, I do these things because, you know, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? So what I'm going to show you today is she chose that final piece. And here, today what I'm working on is the initial Blockin on my easel. And again, I'm sorry, we're in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we're getting some pretty bad thunderstorms right now, so you might hear some thunder in the background, but just bear with me. So this is the initial Blockin. I'm going to try to show it to you as best I can, and then show you a little bit of the colors on my palette. Here in my studio, I work on a glass palette. It's just toned gray so that I can judge the colors, and it allows me to kind of move and manipulate the paint very easily. And I can share with you also some of the tools that I use. So I'll go ahead and just put this back in place here. So when I do an initial Blockin like this, I try to use my bigger brushes. So I've got everything from things that are practically like a house painting brush to some of the bigger flat brushes, and even having fun just applying things with a palette knife. If you've ever had to frost a cake or cupcakes, these palette knives function in much the same way as that. So these initial Blockins are really kind of fun, and I'll show you here, hopefully you can see the link between what's on the easel, and here's the little junior predecessor, if you will, of that smaller study. This final big piece here on panel will be a 16 by 20, and the smaller little prototype study, again, was an 8 by 10, but you'll see some of the linkage, the overlap across the two. So that's what I'm working on right now in terms of like what's on the easel and wet paint. As far as what I've been doing the rest of the summer, it's really been a summer of staycation. So I've really had that luxury of being able to choose some of the things that I want to work on. Most of what I do is self-directed. I specialize in landscapes and cityscapes because I really like the yin-yang, like the contrast between subjects. You know, there's great things I can do with natural subjects, and then other things I can do with urban subjects, and just the color, the stories, that offer a lot of contrast for me. So for the next thing I want to share with you, a brand new piece that I just finished recently. And I'll get it up on the easel here. Bring it up close, I guess, first for you. But this is a brand new cityscape called Everything But Not All Things. And this is a new oil on panel. It's 12 by 24. This is an original piece. It's from near Columbus Circle in New York City. This is fresh off the easel. Paint is still a little bit wet, but you get the idea. I'm going to put this here on my easel so we can talk about it a bit more. I've been doing a lot of thinking about how our world has changed so much in recent months with the pandemic. And I've had this piece, this idea for this piece for quite a while, and I just got thinking about how things have changed, and like we're kind of used to just being able to go out and shop or do things on impulse, like whatever we want to do. I love this moment. I love kind of like the way the light captures that couple, the way they're walking through all these different colors. It's just to me like kind of entering into a kaleidoscope. And again, this is called Everything But Not All Things. And if you go to my website, www.sarahpollock.com, just tap on the cityscape section and you'll see this piece with a little less glare and a little bit ease of detail. But I like this because it kind of puts us in the moment, right? So it's kind of like a little bit of an escape from where we are right now, where you can be in that moment, kind of following right on their heels into the beauty and the color of the city. So this is called Everything But Not All Things, and it's 12 by 24 oil on panel, fresh off the easel from New York City. All right, so for the next piece, this is one that I did on plein air, and again, completely different, right, from what we just saw, but I like to have the contrast of landscape and cityscape. So I drive a pickup truck, and I sat up in the back of my truck in the bed and captured this in northern Illinois late last year during the fall season. So this was done on location, the northern plains of Illinois, and of course it's all about the sky. This piece is called Harvest, and this is an original oil. It's 8 by 16 unframed, but frame adds a little bit more size to it. And this just kind of gets to that contrast of what I enjoy about the work I do. Every day I can be kind of somewhat self-directed and just choose things that really interest and appeal to me. And here it was all about just the beautiful billowing clouds. I'm originally from the upper Midwest. I'm from Wisconsin. My husband is from Illinois, and so we were home for a family occasion last fall, and it was just beautiful at that time of year, like big tumbling clouds coming across the plains, and like, this is the stuff of my youth. Like, I love the low horizon, big billowing clouds, and just the movement and the drama. So this piece is called Harvest, and again, this is available on my website under the landscapes category, so a little different from what we've been looking at so far today. But I want to emphasize again that there's free shipping on all the originals, so for the Rehoboth Art League show weekend, just use the shipping code RAL free, so Rehoboth Art League free. All right, next piece I want to share with you. This is a bit of a bigger one, and this is from the staycation, if you will, of the summer. So again, I'm based in East Tennessee, and for a summer where it's been sheltering in place and trying to stay safer at home, it's not a bad place to be here in East Tennessee. So this piece is called Smoky Magic. I get a little bit of glare here on the light, but this is from up in the Great Smoky Mountains, and we're really like less than an hour from the Smokies, and so it's a great place to just have a home base here in Knoxville and be able to go see amazing scenery. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on my easel just to be able to talk a bit more about it. This is an original oil panel. The unframed size is 16 by 32. Frame size, it's closer to probably about 35, 36 inches in width, actually maybe more like 38. But this piece is called Smoky Magic, and it's all about the play of color and light in the water. I'm just going to try to tilt this a little bit more here so we don't get so much glare. And again, that's available on my website so you can get a better look at it. I also have this piece available as a print. So you can get a print of this on paper or on canvas, order it exactly to your spec, and take off with it. But this is from along near Tremont up in the Great Smoky Mountains. I love all the colors in water, and it just so happens I was up there taking a class to be trained as a Southern Appalachian naturalist, and they told us, pack your lunch, pack your rain gear, we're going to go out in the field today. It was like 90 degrees in July, and I thought, I'm not taking my rain gear, I'm going to cook. Well, we went out and we start looking, we're walking around in the water, we're knee deep in icy cold water, and all of a sudden it got really dark and it just poured. And the temperature dropped by about 20 degrees, and I was the only fool who didn't have any rain gear and whose lunch got a little soggy sitting back on the riverbank. But by virtue of being in the water, knee deep in the cold, I got this wonderful subject. When the sun came back out after the rain passed, this was the moment. And you can't get that standing on the shore. It was definitely worth wading in knee deep into the icy water, and just a great memory. So next time when they tell us to take rain gear, I'll listen. So that's called Smoky Magic. And I'll share the next piece with you. Now back to some of the cityscapes. Again, in the theme of a staycation this summer, this is from Knoxville, and I have to apologize because with these virtual art shows, the text gets reversed on our cameras, but this is a place called Lusk Body Company, like an auto body store here in Knoxville. And one thing that I've really noticed about living here in the South, I spent 14 years up in Pennsylvania, moved down here just over 2 years ago. The light down here is different. It's warmer here in the South, not just temperature-wise, but also just with the quality of the light. And I'm really enjoying that with these subjects. So this piece, I'll just get it on the easel here, make sure we don't have any tragedies with something falling. There we go. This piece is all about the primary colors. So the reds, the blues, the yellows, and just that great clarity of summer light. I caught this earlier this summer It's really just a celebration about kind of old Americana, if you will, like the history of the city. Knoxville is a really cool town, very historic industrial manufacturing center. During the Civil War, it actually changed hands like 6 times between the Union and Confederate sides because it's a very critical rail nexus. So even to this day, from our house here in the center of Knoxville, I can hear trains going by all the time. And this to me is just kind of a nice celebration of the older history of Knoxville. As it turns out, this auto body place is no longer in business, but for some reason the neon sign still stays lit. And it just caught my eye during kind of a late summer afternoon and I wanted to paint it. This is called Lusk Body, and this is an original oil on canvas. I want to bring it up. Hopefully we can see it just a little bit closer here to the camera. This is framed in a black canvas floater frame. All of my pieces are framed and ready to be displayed, so they're all set to go. Now, as a continuing part of the staycation this summer, another piece that I've been working on is I'm just starting to get to know the fall colors here in East Tennessee. Like I said, we lived in in central Pennsylvania for 14 years, and when the idea came up to move here to Tennessee, I was really worried about what that would mean for my artwork, my landscapes. I knew I'd lose probably the winter season, but I was also worried about the fall season. As it turns out, I didn't really need to worry. This is an original oil, it's called Garnet, and this is also from the Great Smoky Mountains, but obviously from a whole different season of the year. And I'll bring this just a little closer here. I love to paint rocks and water. Like, I really enjoy all the different colors and just kind of the different stories that they evoke. This is also an original oil panel and called Garnet, and I just like it because it shows that we get great fall colors here in Tennessee, you know, just delayed really by like a month or 2. So this is called Garnet. Now, for the next piece I want to share with you, one more landscape from the Smokies. Now this one is from a plein air outing that I had earlier this summer. And this is called Great Smoky Mountains, number 7, I believe, actually. I've been doing a whole series from the Great Smoky Mountains, and you can find this one on my website, but this was done in my outdoor office. So I take a small portable field easel. It's kind of like a smaller version of what you're seeing here. Again, I'll just show you my palette with some of the colors and what's in process right now. So I have like a little briefcase, a little small portable easel that I use when I go out in the field, and that allows me to set up and just do work right on location. So a piece like this is really fun because going out in the field, I can see the subtleties of the light and just enjoy being out there, hear the river running. This is along the Middle Prong River in the Great Smoky Mountains, and this is done in what I would call, my outdoor office. But this is part of an ongoing series. I've only been here in Tennessee for a couple of years, so I'm still learning the light. I'm still learning like the scenery, the subjects, and obviously, being less than an hour from the Great Smoky Mountains, it's a really wonderful way to get to know the area. And bring up the next piece for you. I know that many of you are tuning in from urban areas in the Northeast, and I hope that you were all safe and okay this week through the tropical storm. I know it was pretty bad up in some parts of your area. This was a new cityscape this past year that I did, and I really like it because it's still one of my favorites because of the color and the story. This is called Study, West 57th Street. This is an original oil on canvas, and it's really all about the story behind this individual woman as she stands on the street corner and kind of contemplates her next move. Love the primary colors in this, the reds, the blues, and the yellows, and just enjoyed painting this a lot. And so Study West 57th, this kind of shows the diversity of what I like to do. You've seen some of the natural things now, like with the plein air landscapes, and you can't really get colors like this in a natural landscape, and that's why I like to do the 2 different kind of diverse subjects. So this is called Study West 57th. And by the way, I want to encourage you, if you have any questions, please, by all means, feel free to type in the comments. We'll try to catch things here. I'm not sure if anything's happened with comments, but try to catch anything that you have any issues with. And remember too that with all these paintings today, everything is available free shipping through this weekend, through Sunday. For the Rehoboth Art League is RAL free. And finally, I want to share with you one more piece from the summer staycation. This is called In Rainbows, and it's actually a little nod to one of my favorite music groups, Radiohead. They have an album that they called In Rainbows many years ago. This I caught during our summer staycation here. This is an original oil on panel. We've been doing a lot of like staycation outings with our friends just by going out for walks in local parks. And so we were finishing up a walk during a summer evening and just happened to catch this view across the Tennessee River, and it was lovely. I can totally get lost in clouds. Clouds are never just white, as we saw in that earlier piece with Harvest. A lot of dimension, a lot of color. So this is called In Rainbows, and I just wanted to strike a more optimistic tone. We've all had a really stressful, unusual summer this year, and finishing that walk with our friends that summer evening just kind of reminded me, like, you know, there are still really beautiful, good things in this world, and sometimes it's just the really simple things that are uplifting for us. And so this is an original. It is on a panel and framed and ready to be displayed. It is called In Rainbows. And I just wanted to strike that as an optimistic way to kind of help share, you know, like a more upbeat take on what's been going on here for us this summer. So this is where I work, and share a little bit more with you. When I'm not traveling up and down the East Coast, this is where I spend my time creating. So I've got a pretty cool studio. I'll just take you a little tour here around just very casually. I didn't tidy up. My mom would be so unhappy with me right now. She's like, I can't believe you didn't declutter. But anyways, I'm going to show a little bit more. I'm a child of the 1980s, so I consume a lot of audio content while I'm working. So I've got a whole antiquated collection of CDs here in addition to my Spotify account. And my studio is actually in the top floor of our house. And so we bought a 93-year-old house in Knoxville, and it just so happened that the previous homeowners were also artists. So I've got a second easel there where I do a lot of my photography, and I'll just bring you kind of slowly over this way. So I have a little black cloth that I use when I photograph, and then I've got, turn on the light here, kind of a cool little work area here where you can see some of my stretcher bars and stuff like that for when I build canvases. And this is an area where I frame, so you can actually see still got my wire clippers and my drill for when I do a lot of framing. I frame all of my artwork myself. It's really important to me to kind of have that final touch on the piece and just put things exactly as I like. And then I've got a computer area and more materials, backside of my easel and whatnot. But it's the whole second floor of our 93-year-old house here in Knoxville. And I really feel blessed and lucky to have it. I spent years working in corporate America. I started out working for Walt Disney Feature Animation, doing color on their animated films. And now it's just a real treat to be able to share the ideas and the work that I have. So with that, that'll wrap the show for today. But thank you so much for tuning in. And again, RAL free for free shipping on any of the original artwork today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me through my website or through the Rehoboth Art League. I really appreciate you joining me today. I'm sorry we couldn't be together in person, but hopefully next year will be a better time for all of us. So thank you so very much, and appreciate your interest. Thank you.